Once upon a time, Agnes and I were both unmedicated. I was raw dogging life and she was raw personing life.
And I was there to witness it all.
Damn it. It's actually time to take my meds.
I don't set an alarm. I just hope I remember.
And she doesn't.
This is my f***ed up dog, but believe it or not, she was more f***ed up before medication.
Agnes is a f***ed up dog. Jolie Andrew are her parents, and they talk about using force-free training methods and how what they learned about dog behavior can make you a better patient person. And also it's recorded from Agnes's favorite place, the car.
I really just had it up to here with her. I don't know where here is. I had to wherever with this dog this weekend because I can't, it's so hard to listen to. And then this all night with the rain. It's like I love her so much, but this can be so frustrating.
The thing that would really get to me is the way that out of nowhere she would just cry. And the obvious solution is always like, try more enrichment, try taking them on walks, try doing things to kind of get them out of that state. Obviously, there's a reason they're crying and you don't know what it is, but I could meet every single need of hers. I could tire her out, I could play with her, I could do anything.
You know, you see a lot of people who feel they know best suggest that all the dog needs is more exercise. And yeah, she did need more exercise. She does need more exercise. I need more exercise. You need more exercise. The problem is she hates it.
Yeah, there were times when she wouldn't even go for walks with us because she was so anxious about going around the neighborhood. So it's like, it's not an exercise thing necessarily. Or, maybe she did need more exercise, but it's like, what was it worth to try and convince her to go on a walk around the neighborhood?
And there were bones that stressed her out. There were toys that scared her. Anything nice and good could just be used to absolutely terrorize her.
So this might be a little bit of a controversial topic to some, since people have different opinions on whether or not medications should even be given to dogs. Some people have
Complicated feelings on if they should be given to people.
How many times have we met someone who's like, oh, I know I should go on meds, but I'm a little afraid. I don't want to be addicted to them forever. I don't want to
turn me into a zombie, dude.
And to that, I say, maybe you suck more without them.
This video brought to you by Pfizer.
Brought to you by BetterHelp. BetterHelp. Do you want the worst possible person talking to you through your worst mental health crisis? Interesting about the topic of Agnes and dogs and medication. Bless you. Bless you. You good, bro? So it became fairly clear to us early on that Agnes was not going to get better on her own with her own chemicals that she could make. We tried a lot of different training, and, we're very positive reinforcement focused, and we know that it can take a long time, but more and more we just found that she would reach a level of overwhelm where the training and her ability to do the training was just insurmountable. It wasn't taken. And so we put her on one medicine, which it seemed to have a little bit of an effect.
There was some effect, and we're like, okay, I guess this is all medication helps, and we have to take the rest from here.
So about a year ago, I sat down with Shannon Riley, who is an incredible behaviorist. I thought it would be interesting to watch that interview from last summer. That way we can talk about how far Agnes has come from when we had that interview.
Just like for a person who's like extremely anxious or extremely depressed, or even with ADHD, if sometimes you have to have medication so you can learn new skills.
100%.
Because you can't learn those new skills when your brain is like either anxious or all over the place.
I mean, I still struggle every day with it, but once I got on medication, half a decade ago, is like, oh my God, I wasn't living my full life until I got on the right and sometimes I'm still almost once a week I have this moment of holy shit, I am doing so good because of the meds.
It's the same thing with people who have depression and they go on an antidepressant and then they do therapy. The therapist can actually their exercises mean something. Yeah. But it's funny because people don't always want to give meds to their dogs.
Yeah.
It is.
That's how it felt at first for me.
It's a hard thing for people sometimes to take medication and accept it, but with their dogs,
partner,
there are what I explain to people sometimes is imagine their brain is on fire, and there's no way that you're going to be able to build a house if their brain's on fire. You have to put out the fire so then you can build the foundation for the house and everything. And so I always say sometimes the medication's like you're putting out the fire so that you can actually build something there. But you can't if they're totally overwhelmed and totally just everything makes them nervous. Even right now, she's laying there, but she's not
she's not thrilled.
No, she's not.
She's just getting tired.
She's just okay, but that might be where you're also having some roadblocks with separation anxiety, is because her brain isn't calm enough to learn, and so she needs to be able to have that calm. And then while you're training her, your training will go further faster. Yeah. When you can't fully control the environment, doing the trigger practice and doing the cues and the practices. I'll give you a perfect example. I have a client whose dog was totally fine, except there was a flight pattern. So all day long, planes go over, dog would bark and literally obsessive compulsive over the planes in the sky, but was fine with most other things. So we worked on all kinds of desensitizations. I made them do
played
sounds, did all these things. We had to put him on medication because we couldn't tell the planes to stop. She wasn't going to move they couldn't move, and they couldn't stop the planes. We couldn't stop the trigger. So then we had to look at, this is an environment that she's going to live in and she's always going to live in. Yeah. And we need to help her be able to live in that environment if we can't change the environment.
I mean, that's how it is for humans dealing with modern society.
Right.
I mean, that's why, people are always like, why would I take medication? It's not my fault that everything is depressing, and society is like, it's not. It sucks here. But, we have to live here, and so what can you do to make it more tolerable?
Exactly. I mean, if you think you would be more relaxed in the country, but you can't live in the country.
Right.
It's just
you just gotta do what you gotta do.
It is. And
that's how it is with her a lot of the time.
If we can get her medication to give her down, then all those things she'll get used to. Yeah. All the craziness of life and desensitize a little bit not in a healthy way, rather than a flooding way where she's overwhelmed. So clearly the daily, she's been on it for a lot of years, and she's not, you notice a difference, so she needs something.
She needs something.
But it's not the right amount because she's still having a lot of anxiety with a lot of behavior modification that you've done.
Yeah. So it's so interesting to hear you say that, because it's I feel like intellectually I should know that, but it's in my brain it's we got her to a base level and now it's all me, but it is interesting to remember this isn't the be all end all.
This isn't, and it might be high doses at first while you're in that learning period.
Right.
Because why rather have her live all these years of anxiety because you don't have the medication right?
Well, that's the thing. It's anyone who's like, what did the medications do to your dog long term, whatever. But for my money, I always think about how, like, she probably has a shortened lifespan anyway because of how
Stressed she is.
It, like, makes me so sad to think about. But, like, the way she's living her life right now, like, she's not making it to a super old age.
Well,
like, she just can't, she just would not be able to handle, like, her heart's going to give out one
Well,
day.
I had a client when put her dog on Clomicon because of some anxiety. She lived till she was 15 years old.
Mm-hmm.
The last few years of her life, her liver enzymes started to show they were elevated. I think she went on them when she was like 4. And she lived all those years with less stress. So maybe it reduced her by a year or 2, maybe, but it was still a good quality of life.
And the thing that I think keeps me going with her in general is, like, seeing these glimmers of, like, the dog she could be. And I know you shouldn't, like...
No.
Here are some pills. These should help with your anxiety.
Thank you so much.
Here are some pills. These should help with her anxiety.
Her body is a temple.
Perhaps Shannon is like on the nose, and this is just a meds issue. And we'll talk to a doctor soon to get her on better meds. Some people who believe in reversive methods will probably see this dog and what she's doing and say, show her who's dominant. What if I show you who's dominant? Is it working? In the movie Snow Dogs or Sled Dogs, I forget. One with Cuba Gooding Jr. They said if you bite the ear of the dog to show dominance. My hair just fell on your face. That's my version of beating her.
I didn't realize how much changing up her meds was going to improve everybody's lives. And that's not to say she's not still f***ed up. She's still f***ed up. The way she's improved in the last year and the way she's able to face some more of her fears. You're okay. It's okay. Wow, so brave. And kind of get that learning process going is just unbelievable.
Yes. Yeah, it's raised the baseline by so much. She's able to put up with way more of our shit and can live a almost normal lifestyle.
Almost. She cannot be alone, but we're working on it. But yeah, Andrew, how did watching some of these effects change your perspective? Give us like a little bit of background of where you were at the time with medication and what sort of flipped a switch for you.
Well, first of all, this is not a case of man no want therapy. I was into it. I was seeking it. And one of the big problems for people and for dogs is access. For me, it's having real insurance. For Agnes, it's also having kind of real insurance and also
real parents who can't afford to get her good help.
Veterinary behaviorists. It's a new field. There was not a college of veterinary behaviorists until 1993.
Basically, you need to find a vet who can prescribe the meds in person. It's a lot of money altogether. The vets won't work with you necessarily to do it because their time is precious. There's a veterinary crisis going on in America, which doesn't get talked about because a lot of the vets retired during the pandemic. We can go into that another episode. If you're interested, let us know down in the comments. But all that to say, it's not easy to get your pet proper care, and it's also not easy to get your human proper care.
First of all, let me try and describe what it's like finding treatment with lousy insurance. Initially, I'm trying to find a psychiatrist, and that's just not working. Anywhere that I can find online, it's like, this is, an 80-year-old Ukrainian man in the basement of a Kohl's in Downey, and you call, and yeah, he accepts your insurance, but no, he's not taking new patients right now. And it's very discouraging very quickly. And so I changed my approach, and it was like, I will get something prescribed to me by a physician. So then I had to find a physician, and that's a 90-year-old guy who's in the basement of a different Kohl's in Alhambra. You show up and he calls you a pussy. And so it got put on the back burner for a little while longer. It's really an issue of access. Cost, it takes time from your day. It's hard to make appointments. It's hard to keep appointments. It's not set up to succeed. But what changed for me was seeing the way in which Agnes's baseline was raised so much higher by being on the right medication. When she was on the wrong medication, I still wasn't convinced, because she still kind of sucked. It was like, yeah, I could do that. I don't need a pill to still be crying at 3 o'clock every day. I'm doing that just fine on my own.
So, Andrew, for this episode, you've been reading a book about animal psychiatry, correct?
That is correct. It's called Pets on the Couch by Nicholas Dodman. And yeah, I'd like to get into some of the fun facts that I learned.
Well, then let's cut to a segment of you talking about the book.
So I did read the book, I promise, but that was a while ago, and I started a new job, and started reading the Miranda July book, and I guess relevant to the episode, I think it was about medication, right?
Oh my God. Yes, it was about medication.
So I'm kind of like rationing mine a little bit, even though I shouldn't be. I have to switch insurance, and I'm out of refills, and my doctor's office has never been all that responsive or helpful to begin with, so I don't really have the energy to do this book report.
Just tell them we'll link it down below.
We'll link it down below. I don't know what that means, but you should read it. Horses can have OCD.
Is that why they
Now you know it.
math? Is that why they do math? And counting?
Horses don't do math.
Yes.
This is my book report. Jesus, butt out.
I thought horses do math. It's like a magic trick. It's like a trick that they do.
Horses can't do magic. This, I don't think that's in the book.
Welcome back.
Boy, that was a great segment.
Great segment.
Speaking of medicine skepticism, before Andrew gives us his post-meds verdict, let's go talk to my drunk friend Scott at Highland Park TV, who will give us a mix of interesting and weird opinions he has. And if that doesn't intrigue you, well then stay till the end when he hypnotizes my dog.
Agnes is settling in for the debate of the century. Hi everyone, my name is Scott Huntsman, and I'm a medicine expert, Western health denier, and Ayurvedic practitioner. The sister science to yoga.
So let's get into it. Medication, yes or no?
Mostly no. Basically, what I think is most doctors, all they do is just go, I don't know, let me Google that for you. And they don't even know. And then also, they're not keeping up with all the current medical documents. So the worst thing you can get is an old doctor, because they don't know all the new diseases and viruses and such. So I'm saying, probably someone like Dr. Jill Biden would be the worst doctor you could get. Like, if you are on an airplane and someone's like, is there a doctor? And it's Dr. Jill Biden, that'd be the worst case scenario.
I do agree. Old doctors suck. My cousin had a doctor here in Los Angeles. Guess how old he was?
94 years old.
93.
Really?
Yeah.
He has no business. He should be seeing the doctor.
You should be seeing the night doctor. The good night doctor.
Well, there's a doctor that all other doctors go to, and they're not available to the general public.
Go on.
There's different levels of doctors. Like you could be like a like small tier, small fry, or you can be like one of the big ones that prescribe to do all the prescriptions. Like maybe like a small doctor, low level, like level 15, can only prescribe you with like so many medicines. But if you're like a level like 60 doctor, then you can prescribe like your patients with like.
I don't think they tier list the doctors.
You don't think so?
All right, chat. Let's see. We got Doogie right here. Doogie's gonna go in. Yeah, I'd say B tier, right next to Dr. Hibbert. And my boy Dr. Kevorkian. Oh, he's C tier.
Are you on any medications? And why not?
Just does weed count?
No, weed does not count as a medication.
No medicine.
Do you have any mental health issues?
No. I don't think so.
You don't think you're anxious?
Oh, yeah. The problem is I'm too busy. The problem is I'm too hard of a worker.
This is an interview, Scott, but it's not like a job interview.
I think I have undiagnosed ADHD, but I also think that you could be hypnotized out of ADHD, and also I think you can be hypnotized out of allergies too, actually. So I choose to try to holistically.
You need to get Nate Faustin in here.
Well,
the
except
allergy boy. Nate, come in here. Nate, can you list out your allergies for us?
I'm allergic to nuts, fish, smoke, chocolate, dogs, cats, probably some other stuff I've never been exposed to.
Do you think you can be hypnotized out of allergies?
I don't think so. However, I am sitting next to Agnes right now.
Yeah, and you're allergic to dogs.
Explain that. So.
This is because Nate's in a sense of calm, and so is Agnes. If Agnes started getting anxious, I'm sure Nate would start sneezing.
Agnes lives in a state of perpetual anxiety. I think
But
that's
right
not
now
what's
it's like a low
happening.
level, so that's why Nate's not hawking up a sneeze.
Do you see her eyes? You can see the whites of her eyes so clearly. But the point is, do you think you can be hypnotized out of your allergies?
I don't.
Okay. I think you miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
Thank you, Nate. Appreciate your insight.
But what was I saying?
You were talking about curing ADHD with hypnotism.
Yeah. Well, I don't know about that, but I think so. If you can hypnotize someone out of their allergy, then you could probably hypnotize them out of their mental illness too, right?
Do you? Nate, could you come back here for a second? Nate, can you describe to Scott what you know to be true about my mental health issues?
Well, I think, first of all, because you have a lot of energy, you have a lot of ADHD, certain depressions.
I just bring Nate on because I've heard Nate describe my ADHD as what?
It is the only true form of ADHD.
The only non-faker.
It is the only
I'd say most people who say they have ADHD have stolen valoring.
Stolen valor, yeah.
True ADHDers. When a real ADHDer walks into the room,
they all tip their cap.
Yeah.
And then they hide all of their glasses so you don't knock them over.
We saw a movie the other day, and you had brought different things to play with on your table at the movie theater that gives you food.
And then I did order food.
And you did order food.
I need all the senses. Sight, taste.
Yeah. What was your smell sense?
Nate sitting next to me. Thank you, Nate, for validating this.
I also think that Chinese medicines and herbal remedies are just as good, if not better, than Western medicines.
The older I get, the more I realize that the world is, or rather our world here, is very Western-centric in how we really do discredit other traditions. And it's kind of f***ed up.
The problem here is they always want to give you the medicine because then they get the kickback. So
They don't do kickbacks anymore, though, right?
You'll have to fact check me on that one, but why else would someone be a doctor?
If you had high blood pressure, would you take
Medicine. No.
You wouldn't?
No, I would just change whatever is making me have high blood pressure to just be the opposite of that.
But what if it's just your body? Like, what if it's your
I
body?
think you can change anything with food as medicine.
Do you really?
Yeah.
Tell me more.
I think if you're having an ailment or a dis-ease in your body, you can like mentally and emotionally and physically change it with just the power of mind. Like if you just calm yourself down, and like and maybe you're eating a food that's bad for you and it spikes your like whatever levels. So if you just stop eating that food, then your levels will go down. The problem is all these people, all these doctors are prescribing you with this shit, and they're just like putting a problem on another problem on another problem, and then you just go your whole life with this still problem underlying beneath of it. So the problem never gets fixed, and then they get all these kickbacks from all these medicines they're pushing.
That kickbacks thing is so much of a thing.
It would make sense. Why else would you become a doctor?
Yeah, I guess I can't think of one.
Like, or just like stop eating microplastics and drink more water.
These are not real opinions you have.
What do you mean? You asked me. I'm the expert.
No, that's not why I have you on the podcast. You're not the expert.
I'm a health expert.
I do have some trouble with this because on one hand, I don't disagree that we are overprescribed. But then again, I do think we have a very sick society, and the meds are just a band-aid.
Yeah, that's the problem. The problem is that we're, the opposite of ease is dis-ease. We need to get back to ease. Be a little more easygoing.
Dang.
A little more, not so mad and not so anxious and not so worried.
So what do you say to Agnes? She has really bad anxiety, clearly.
Agnes, I know you have bad anxiety, and I think if we could take you to some kind of hypnotist, we could get that real fixed, like 60%.
Could you try hypnotizing Agnes?
All right, I'll try. You're getting very sleepy, Agnes. Think of a metal orb floating in a black space. Now picture the orb glowing into a blue, golden, switching from blue to golden light. Picture the orb getting bigger and smaller in the blackness. Now picture the blackness going into the orb and the light spilling into the black. And now there's a black orb inside of a white room instead of what the opposite of it was before. Now picture the black orb diminishing, becoming smaller and smaller and smaller, and be so small you can barely see it. And then you can simply lick it and it goes away. Now wake up.
What did you change?
She's better.
Are you better? Agnes? Are you better? Agnes, up to sit. Up to sit, baby. Ooh, I know. Lady.
She's normal.
Lady. Can you do lady? Took away all her tricks. What did you do? You took away all her tricks.
She's healed.
Oh, my baby.
She's healed now.
You worked so hard for so long.
I got my boy JD. JD from Scrubs, he's C tier. And then, I don't know who the this guy is. F tier. But yeah, that's the Dr. Tier list.
After seeing Agnes, you push through it, and what has the results been?
Okay.
Yeah.
It doesn't fix anything. It doesn't. I mean, it makes it possible to foster an environment in which you can do the hard work. It's like being in quicksand without any help, and you're just kind of trying to lurch your way out. And then being on medication is like being in quicksand, but there's a rope about 3 feet away, and you can maybe yank yourself out. We don't love big pharma. We're not trying to push pills, but bad behavior is the #1 killer of pets, according to one thing I read once that I could not find a source for. But it is, I did find a source that is among the top causes of death for dogs under the age of 3.
Yeah, we're not saying all dogs need medication. We're not saying all people need medication. But if you think you or your loved pet will benefit from a little tweaking of the brain, then it's something to look into. And it's not for everyone, but it's better to, have that, like we talk about in the video with Shannon, it's better to, maybe be on these meds that you might not want to be than, harm yourself, someone else, etc., etc. So please, if you're struggling, get help. Talk to your loved ones, talk to your community. They're there to support you. Oh, and because all three of us are on medications, we love to play this fun game every morning where we put all of our different prescriptions into one can and we shake them up and we play medication roulette.
Yeah, Agnes sucks when she's on Adderall.
But she's so productive.
Yeah, she really gets all her paperwork out of the way.
By paperwork, we mean shredding papers.
That's the problem, is I've been depressed this episode. I didn't take my pills this morning.
Go take your pills. Everyone, remember, take your meds, join our Discord,